welcome to Mr. Wilson Teaches Charcoal. Today I'm going to teach you how to use a charcoal pencil, some blending techniques. I'm going to be creating a fruit. This is an apple, so you can choose any fruit or vegetable. You're going to want to have some reference photos to go with it. The materials you'll need is just a number 2 pencil, a blending stump or tortillon. I'm using a 6B General's charcoal pencil, but there are other brands you can use fine in different hardness or softness. Depending on what you're going to be drawing, you can switch that out, but a 6B is a good one to start because it's easy to blend. And then a tissue for the value. So those are the supplies you need. You can watch, it's really quick and easy. We'll show you how to do that, and then you can try it out yourself. Good luck. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is start just by lightly sketching out the object that I want to do in charcoal. So I've got some images of some apples here. That's what I'm going to be working from. I'm just using these as a reference. So it won't look exactly like this, but I'm using it to figure out the color, shape, things like that. I'm going to draw mine fairly small too, but depending on what you're working on, you could take up more of the page here. I'm just going to bring this down. And this will roughly be where about that stem will come from. Add a leaf. Similar to the one in the picture here. And then I'm also going to add on a shadow. And you could technically add in a fake background here, so that's about where it would sit on the table. So that's your light drawing. You always do that first in pencil, just make sure everything is looking good, and then you can move on to the charcoal. So this charcoal is a 6B, extra soft. That means it's easy to blend. They do come in a variety of different hardnesses or softness. The B stands for the soft, and an H, like a 2H is your number 2 pencil. So this one is pretty soft in comparison. They do go higher than this. For example, 8B, but this one is good for what we're working on. It's all going to be based off of this tone, and I'm going to use a lot of hand pressure, so I'm not going to be really pushing hard on this. So I'm just going to start by adding a little bit of an outline to some of this. Depending on what you're drawing, you may or may not want to outline, but because I want this object to appear like it's coming off the paper, so an additive. And I'm going to start just by outlining so it's a little easier to fill in. This also helps shape up some of these lines. Alright, so now that I have that outline, I'm just going to start adding a base color. I'm going to use the side of this, just lightly fill it in. So you can do this piece by piece as you go, or you can do the whole thing. You also have blending stumps. You can use a tissue just to add in the color. Once you pick up the color too on the blending stump, you can use that to color, and so you see it gets a variety of lights and darks just by using this. And you can also erase out color as you go. I'll show you that same technique with the tissue, which is probably something more of you would have lying around. So same thing, lightly color in. Grab yourself a tissue. You're going to ball it up so that you get a smooth surface. This usually gives you sort of a soft look too, so depending on what kind of coloration you're going for. They do sell charcoal in sticks as well, so a lot of times when I'm coloring something in or doing a reductive style, the first thing I do is just switch to a stick, fill it all in, either compressed or vine charcoal. Right, let's go to the tissue. Alright, so by starting with that gray tone, it's just going to be easier to go darker or lighter based off of that. I'm going to give this a crisp edge now. Remember, you can erase. So usually I'll do that right at the end to get rid of some of that. I'm going to start finding some of the darker areas, which would be behind the stem here. And then using your blending stump, you can drag that color out. A lot of times I'll rotate the paper instead of rotating my hand. And you don't want to smear this with the side of your hand, so you'll notice now I'm working upside down, but that's the easiest way to get this other side. Add some to the bottom too here. You can also use your finger. So sometimes it's just easier to control when you can watch it all happen from your finger. Alright, so this apple has a lot of texture too, so I'm going to start adding in some random dark, sort of following the same pattern that the picture shows. There'll also be a back shadow here coming forward, and a shadow cast by the leaf. Let's soften some of this up. Alright, so the shadow underneath would be very, very dark where they touch. And as you go out, it'll soften up a little bit. I'm going to try and make that fade just by using hand pressure. Alright, then there's some darker texture towards the bottoms. I'm actually going to use a reductive method too, so some of the texture is brighter than the mid-tone. I'm going to add some lights into there, especially towards this top part, so there's a highlight there. Small highlight behind there. This pattern drags out. So notice just by adding those little white lines in, that makes a big difference, following the shape of this and bringing out some of those colors. Alright, let's add some darker tones into the stem here. Alright, so I don't want this to be completely black. I also don't want it to get lost in here, so I'm going to do a little outlining as well. Pull out a little bit of the color so you can see where it starts. Crisp this leaf up. I'm going to color the leaf in. Remember, we did want a shadow underneath there, so I'm going to have to go back in and pull out some more color so there's a separation between the two. Just drag it out a little bit. This part is pretty light, so we're just going to fill it in with that and erase them out. And then for the veining in the leaf, I'm actually going to erase it. Some areas that are a little darker. And clean up the edges just a little bit too. There's some texture on the side, so I'm actually going to pull these out more to a point. And I usually give the background just a little bit of color too, but with the charcoal that's already on my hand, I can blend this out a little bit. And that line there, that makes a big difference in making this feel like it's a grounded object. And then this is my shadow side. I'll go through and just add a couple more darks into the side. Blend it up a little bit. And then lastly, I'm just going through and cleaning up some of the parts where I got a little messy in the white. And that's more or less all there is to it. I could spend some more time sort of finessing this and making it look stronger. But in general, that's how you work the charcoal. You'll get better with experience on it. We've got a couple other videos with more charcoal. We have one where you could draw your self-portrait and a couple other different techniques. But in general, that's how you start. So good luck and hope you enjoy. Please like the video and subscribe.